All right, so it is now right around 7:03 Mountain, 9:03 Eastern. So I am just going to get started here. Appreciate you all coming online this morning to take a look at this training and get everything going here. We know there's been a lot of patients that you guys have had during this process over the migration, and a lot has gone through to it. And I just want to say, somebody coming on new to the account from the last kind of month or so here, I really appreciate you guys' patience because looking at how things have been handled, there's been obviously a lot of difficult things that you guys have had to face, VCNA has had to face. So we're hoping that, moving forward with everybody migrated over, we can just get everybody in, answering some of these questions, putting in information we need, and just getting a little bit more of a smoother compliance rating here, or a little bit of just a more accurate compliance rating. So what I'm going to do here today is I'm really just going to walk you through initially, what the VCA requirement changes are, because there was a lot of changes specifically made during this summer, at that time of August, September, when the migration had happened from Browse to Avetta. And I don't know if those changes were communicated well enough from our end to you guys. So I'm just going to explain those changes again. It's specifically going to be about the Avetta PQFs and mainly this annual update that we're seeing a lot of information is missing. I'm then going to get into the general insurance requirements, the changes there. I'll then get into a specific demonstration of Connect, and then speak to some of the support items that you can use during this process with us, VCNA, to just make sure we get this all done. And then, of course, some next steps. In terms of what I said, as I said, I'll be looking at the chat. So if you have any questions or anything like that, please feel free to write them in there. Everyone should be able to see them, and I'll try and answer them to the best of my ability as soon as I can. So if you take a look at the VCA requirement changes, it really comes down to three things. When I look at it, the annual updates, the insurance and WCB, and then the other pre-qualification forms. And if we take a look at it very specifically on how you guys are going to be judged in comparison to what you are being judged on Browse, there is some changes, as there is some new requirements for you to be in there. Now, right now, just to be completely transparent, we are working with VCNA to try and mold those requirements a little bit, if you will, and see if we can have a little bit of less specific requirements and a little bit easier for you guys to get into the green. But I just want you guys to know that, the reason behind this meeting and what we really want you guys to do is just to get in there and fill out the information. If based on the information filled out, you're non-compliant because of a TRIF or a TRIR rating, things like that, those are things that VCA can look at. Those are things that VCA can change and still give you approval, but we just need this information in there. So when you look at these requirement changes specifically, the first thing I want to talk about is the annual updates. And I'll be showing this in the system, but this is what a lot of people are being flagged on because it's something that wasn't filled out on Browse before. And essentially what this is a form in the Avetta platform where you're going to be putting in there and you're going to be putting in your statistics throughout the year, and they're going to be separate forms for Canada and USA. So if you are working out of both areas, you'll have to fill out both. If you're only working out of one, you only have to fill out one, where you're going to be putting information like OSHA stats, lost time, time off, fatalities, things like that. And you're actually going to have to do it for the last 3 years. And I know that's annoying. Some of you have even probably been in there and updated your 2019 information, your 2018, but we actually need it all the way back to 2017, just because the way that VCNA has the requirements set up right now is that they are calculating the 3-year average of TRIF, TRIR, lost work, and essentially anybody 120% above industry average is going to be required to be non-compliant, red, if you will. Anybody 100 to 100% above industry average is going to be conditionally compliant. And anybody with any fatalities is going to be non-compliant, that red. So if you fill out your annual updates and you fall under those categories, I just want to say there's absolutely nothing wrong with that. There is a variance process that VCA can go through. We can review the data, we can review your guys' account, and we can put you guys into the green status based on the fact that VCA is comfortable with wherever you're at. So if you're one of those suppliers that falls in there, you're thinking, hey, I've updated all this information, I'm only red or yellow because of one of these statistics, don't worry about it at that point. You can even reach out to us directly and just let us know that, and we can go through the variance process of that. And really, that's what the intention of the system is there to do, for us to see that information and be able to put you in a grouping based on a variance so we can kind of cover our I's and our T's there. But really what we want you to do and what I'm going to be going through is just making sure that we actually complete the information and we submit it and have those annual updates completed and ready for verification. I'll also show some of the other forms. There is a few other forms added as requirements in the system, but they are very general. One of them is, an Avetta general safety information PQF, and there's a few VCN specific PQF forms as well. And then in terms of the insurance requirements, and these are drastically different than what you had seen in the browse system, is that they are now requesting a handful of additional requirements. So the certificate holder name prior to this week was asking for a very specific naming regimen where it needed the entire Vitorium. I'm going to be even honest, I can't even say VCNA's full name sometimes, but it needed this entire writing out initially to be compliant as the certificate holder name. We are making those changes right now where we're going to be accepting any of these naming regimens moving forward. But I just wanted you to know that the certificate holder name has to fall under one of these names listed. And they are now as well requiring an additionally insured verbiage in there with one of these names, as well as a waiver of subrogation. The insurance requirement minimums have also increased to 5 million for regular vendors and 3 million for haulers. So these are new requirements that VCNA has set up. They are different than what you've seen in the past. So anything migrated from the browse account, the insurance that we were able to pull on August 5th from the browse account for you guys into the Avetta platform, unfortunately, is going to cause a conditional flag because previously to this, it wasn't a requirement to have that additionally insured, that waiver of subrogation. So if it's something that's coming over from the old system, it is going to be flagged. So really, for you guys here as high priority vendors, the main area of topic that you're just going to be looking at, as I said, is the annual updates, a few other specific forms, and then specifically the insurance requirements and making sure you meet all the issues stated right there. So I will be sharing this presentation afterwards, the PowerPoint, as well as me walking through it. But I just wanted to make sure that it's clear to you as to what the requirements are, because even on the Avetta page, and we apologize about this, it doesn't share it as clearly as it should because, again, we are going through changes right now in terms of updating this and trying to get the requirements easier and in place. So for now, when I share this, please use this as your starting point in terms of your requirements. But again, your rating will be shared with you on the Avetta platform where you can kind of see how you're doing there. So after that, I am ready to just go right into the demo of the system, but just to kind of let you guys know exactly through the demo what we're going to be looking at, I'm quickly going to walk you through the homepage. I'm then going to walk you through your profile section, just how to look at that. These are just two kind of basic navigations, if you will. Then I'll get into the good stuff of the connections, the resource folder where you can put everything in prior to answering questions, and then task and compliance, and finally the insurance section. So I'm just going to stop sharing my screen here in a second and then share a new screen in just 1 minute. So you guys should all now be able to see my Avetta homepage as I've logged into a Connect account. I am going to zoom in a bit just because I've heard in the past maybe my screen is a little bit too small. So if anybody can't see anything, please let me know in the chat. I'm just checking to make sure that we're all good, but it shouldn't be an issue here. So as you can see here, this is the homepage that the majority of you have been seeing as you've logged into the system and have your connection. Now, of course, if you're working for somebody outside of VCNA as well, you will see more than one connection listed here. You will see a multitude and you will see whoever else it is, and you'll see, of course, your compliance status. Now, before we get into all that stuff, I just want to quickly show you the profile section where you can update that information, just in case you haven't been in the account too much, you want to look at that stuff, whatever it may be. You would come here to the top corner. You would then be able to see your name. As you can see, it says Seth Elashry for myself. And you would then be able to go to my profile. At this point, this is where you're going to be able to put in your company information, edit it, things like that. So as you can see here on this demo account, on this demo server, we're working under Hemlock Construction. We can see our company description. We can see our certificates. We can add new licenses. This is just essentially, additional marketing, if you will. So then once you're in the system, people can see the type of services you have. When they're searching for you, they can find you. And of course, when VCNA is looking at a different additional information, they can see it here as well. From here, if you're really going to be doing a lot in here, it's just more so, you know, as mentioned, company information. You're not really going to be doing anything from here specifically for your VCNA requirements and anything like that. So I'm just going to be clicking back to my home page now to show you where you're really going to be getting most of the tasks done and everything like that. So for this example, as I mentioned, we're in on Hemlock Construction, and we're going to be working for Kexmox US. So this is just the demo account, but in your world, you know, this would be specifically for VCNA, and the forms might be a little bit different, but the idea behind it is the same. You're going to be able to see here any of the tasks that you have as open requirements. So if I just click view all tasks, it's going to open up and it's going to let me see every task that I have to complete moving forward, not just for VCNA or in this place, Kenmox, but any other client I want. And I'll be able to come through here and I can see, as you can note, please complete form, and I would hit complete, please complete form. As I scroll down, things that I've already completed that have been reviewed by the Avetta team will say, you know, rejected, please review, or still pending because it's taking the Avetta team time to review it. So you'll be able to see here where you are and what step you're at. And of course, I want to note, you know, for some of you, maybe you've come into the system recently, you've updated a lot of information, you've hit submit, and then the information is, you know, pending while you wait for the information to be verified on our team. At that point, that's totally okay. You won't be able to go in there and change any information. You're just going to have to wait till it is verified by our team to see the results. If you know, beforehand, hey, I made a mistake. I clicked submit, but now I want to go back and edit this before it's done being verified. That's totally fine as well. You know, again, this is what this process is for. I'm going to include my contact information at the end here. And you can reach out to me with an email. I'm going to add you to my notes then, and then we can have you unlocked, if you will, where you can complete that information again if you submitted it too quickly or something like that. You know, I'm assuming it's a small amount of you, but I just wanted to share that if you come in here and it says completed and you can't resubmit it, please feel free to reach out and we'll have that opened up for you so you can do it prior to being confirmed by our insurance team or verification team or what may have you. But anyways, you'll be able to see anything you have to do with compliance here. Now, if you wanted to see just specifically for your connection to VCNA, you would come to this network tab, and then you would actually see all the connections you work for. So of course, right now I'm only working for one and it's non-compliant and I can see it here, but this would show all your clients here, VCNA. And if you just click on the name, it's going to then take a second to load, and you're actually going to be able to see the specific tasks that you have to do for VCNA that you haven't completed and the ones that you have completed. So if I just come in here, I'll be able to go through, and I'm specifically going to go through the ones that I think are the most important for you guys based on the results that we see for VCNA, which would be the general company information as well as the annual updates. So quickly, I'm just going to please show you how that works. For example, I would come in here, I would click complete. The page is just going to take a second to load up, and I would just go through and answer these questions. So as you can see, even here, this person has completed 100% of it. They just haven't hit submit yet. So when I hit submit, you're going to see it's going to be done. It's going to take me back to here, and I'll be able to see that this form is now completed. And even if I hit view, the answers are then locked for me until it is verified by the Avetta team. So that's really what you're going to be having to go through here. So again, I'm just going to go back to network. I'm going to click on my client, and I'm going to try and go through as many of these forms as I can to complete them. So now, just to show you the annual updates, because this seems to be another area for a lot of people who haven't completed it, all you have to do is when you come in here, you should be able to just go through the information, and questions will be added as you answer. So when you put in the amount of employees you have here, you can see that the progress at the top will continue to go up. As I fill out this information here, there might be additional questions that show up in the question box depending on what I've included. And I'll just have to keep going through each section to complete it. And once I have done so, that's when I'll actually be able to hit this submit button in the top corner here. And that's really what's required. So until you get to that point, a lot of this information won't be seen as completed, even if you've hit, 70% of it done, 80% of it done, what have you. You have to go through and have it all completed and put in there for the team to look at. So I'm just filling out some basic numbers here just to show you what I get through. And as you can see at the top, I'm getting that completion percentage going. In terms of the uploads, it is just a simple choose a file. It should then just take you right to your document section. I will be going over this file section later where you can host information. But again, all you have to do is click and choose it or drag and upload. And as you can see, I've completed this section and now I just have to go to the next ones as I go. Once again, choosing a file. For this, I'm just choosing a test file just to show the abilities, and then going through to the next page. If some of this information is information you do not have, please answer it to the best of your ability. You can still go through and put, for example, in those boxes, NA, not applicable, what have you, and the team will still review it based on that information. We just really want you to put in as much information as you can here. And then of course, as you can see, I've completed it. I would simply hit submit, and then it lets me come down and see it as viewed. And as you can see here, awaiting Avetta review. So once this information is verified by our team, it'll come back to you. They're looking at the amount of hours worked, the lost time. So if somebody put, hey, I've worked 1 hour, but I have 50 employees, they are going to respond back and say, hey, that doesn't seem to add up to us. 50 employees, you've been working for 2 clients or what have you. It doesn't seem, very plausible in our eyes that you'd be working 3 to 5 hours. Then at that point, you'd be going back and forth with them and getting that compliance status set up. The main key with these annual updates, as you can see here, is we need to have it go back all the way to 2017. We need to update the information from here. So as you can see here, this one was submitted, but it's asking me to resubmit it based on information that I had incomplete, or incorrect. So as you can see here, I have these 2 red dots at the top, and it's showing me the specific information that's red here. And you can even see, since you had more than 10 employees, season regular, the information I'm provided doesn't seem to make sense. So it then allows me to switch it, and then I can hit resubmit. And then I can even put reasons for this. For this I'm not going to, but I'm just going to complete it. And then as you can see, it gets populated here, and it's awaiting a Avetta review once again. And the process to have these all complete, and again, I want to share, if your TRIF is above the threshold, if you've had a fatality or things like that, and you've completed it and this form causes you a non-compliance factor, that is okay. We just want to get that data. And as mentioned, we can go through that variance process where we review the information and we push you guys to a green status based on us knowing, based on your working relationship with VCNA, that the TRIF being, 1% above threshold is no big deal, things like that. So again, we just really want you guys to complete these forms and make sure everything is filled out here. So the rest of the information here is pretty generic on these certificate forms, outside, of course, general liability and anything to do in that. And before I get there, I really just wanted to then touch on this insurance tab and the files tab, because they do go hand in hand with the general liability tasks and everything here. So quickly just jumping to this files tab, the resources, if you will, this is where you can upload and host any of the documents that you require from your system. So if you have the capabilities, based on your account, which you should in general, you'll be able to come in here and see any of the files that you've uploaded and have them in place. I don't have access to Hermlock's account as of right now, so I actually don't see it here, but there would be a green upload button where I'd be able to click it and put any of my documents in here. And then at this point, I have a folder, if you will, within the Avetta platform, which I can reach into if required to input any of the documents on questions instead of re-uploading it on the attached file method as I did in the past. So that's really what this file section is here too, for you to kind of, let's say you got a new insurance document, you can upload it in here. Let's say you got a new WCB, you can upload it in here. And then when you go through the questions, you can just find it from the file source. Of course, you can upload it directly, as I showed you, the add and upload. But this is just a place, if you will, similar to an S drive, but online, where you can house it to make it simpler to upload in the future, or look at or retroactively use once again. And if I now come to this insurance tab, it's now going to show me the specific insurance requirements I have for my specific client. So when you click view requirements, it's going to show you what is required. Now, I am going to say I appreciate your guys' patience because this isn't going to show up at this very minute for VCNA because, as I had mentioned earlier, we are still going through those changes and inputting them. So, the requirements are a little bit gray, if you will, right now in terms of us trying to levy that. But that's where you'll be able to see it in the future. And for now, just go through based off the fact of the PowerPoint that I'll be sharing with you in terms of the additionally insured waiver of subrogation. But anyways, once you see this, you would just click on this little arrow right here on the right. You'll then be able to see the policy requested. So for VCNA, you're going to see general liability, you're going to see auto insurance, umbrella insurance. All that specifically means is you still only have to attach one file. And then as I click here, you can see choose. It's going to let me see any of the previous certificates I've uploaded in my profile page, in my files page, and then I can even upload a new certificate as well, pulling from, once again, my computer, my database, if you will. And that's how you would add the certificate into this section. So for right now, I'm just going to add a document that is here for a test. Let's see if I can find a test document. All right, well, let's go with this for right now because it doesn't have to be shown. I'm just going to upload it. And as you can see, I've uploaded the ticket and it's going to be pushed onto this general liability. And if I now click on general liability, I can see the information that needs to be filled out and submitted, and I can click submit. So the insurance tab is where you can go to see specific insurance information and upload your certificate. But again, if I went through network, I had VCNA listed here, any of my client, and I hadn't completed the general liability, it also would be listed right here as well. And I'd be able to go through it in the same fashion. So there is multiple ways to go through that, through the insurance tab, through here. But even if I went through this manner, I still need to go to the insurance tab and upload any of my information. And as you can see here, it says awaiting Avetta review. So a lot of you, the information that was uploaded in here was the insurance document that you had from Browse. We migrate that over. The issue with that, the reason you're going to be getting flagged on something like that is, number one, it doesn't meet the additionally insured requirement, the waiver of subrogation, thus it's going to be rejected. So we're going to need you to come in here and upload a new one if possible to meet those requirements. Now, I will say the insurance, as I mentioned, is changing. We are trying to lighten the load, if you will, and make it more bearable and acceptable to requirements. So, again, if you don't have one with additionally insured yet, if you still need to reach out to your insurance and get that, totally understand. We would just like you for right now to ensure that you're focused on getting some sort of information uploaded in there specifically for the PQFs. And as you can see here, any document that I've uploaded certificate-wise will be pushed into here. So that's really the insurance information. The other piece of information I would say is that, if there is an umbrella insurance requirement, as mentioned, you would see that here, but you're still only going to be uploading one insurance document. You will be filling out three forms, if you will, one that would say general liability, one that would say umbrella, where you're going to go through this. But the document upload itself is singular just for one attachment that would be put right here. And then over time, you would just come back, look at your compliance, and ensure that you complete as many forms as you can and go through them, completing the specific ones, completing the annual updates, and then, of course, uploading the insurance and WCB and things of that nature. So I think for right now, we're pretty much done through what I wanted to share in 30 minutes here, which I know is very quick, but that's really the biggest issue that we've noticed here is that people aren't filling out these forms or completing them. And then, of course, when they're going through the insurance, they may be uploaded in the file section in the wrong area, or they're having issues getting it approved based on those missing requirements. So at this point, I'm going to open it up to questions in the chat, see if anybody else has any requirements. I will also note, as I mentioned, I will be sharing this this call and showing it, sending it to all you guys so you can kind of see what I've walked around in. I will also be doing this presentation again at 3 p.m. Eastern for individuals who weren't able to come in here and just are in general working for VCNA and having issues. And I just actually am now getting some questions, which is great. So from Mike Riggs, will this presentation be available via email afterwards? Yes, I will be sharing not only the walkthrough that I have that I've recorded, but I also will be sharing the PowerPoint presentation. How quickly can suppliers expect to get responses from the Avetta review team? So anything you've uploaded in there will be reviewed within 3 business days. So I can guarantee that. It should even be reviewed prior to that within 48 hours, but I am saying 3 business days just, to give us a little bit of leeway in case somebody takes a little bit extra. But within 3 business days, the information will be updated, and then you can go back in and see if, you need to make another change or what have you. I see from Erin here, she's attending on behalf of someone else on the organization. How do I get the presentation? Great question, Erin. What I'll be doing afterwards is I will be sending this directly to anybody who I had previously messaged out for the Zoom call. I will also be sharing this with everybody internally who had reached out to anybody else, and they can share it as well. And then I will include my email. Let me just put it here on the screen, just so if anybody needs to contact me directly, they can do so. And I will also share the Avetta support contact, just so if anybody needs to contact the support line, they can do so as well. So I see that's the next question from Gomez, and I will be inputting that into the chat. And then I'll also include that information when I send it out after the meeting here. And I'm also including my phone number just in case somebody needs something directly right away. I might not be able to answer initially, but you can leave me a voicemail. But best bet would be to reach me by email if it's something that you need VCA specific or question answered. And then I'm also going to post as I mentioned, the basic support information just so everybody can contact that if they require as well. Is there a link to follow for those who do not have an Avetta account yet? So Justin, I totally understand what you're saying. If you've already been into the system, your account's already been migrated over and you've never logged on previously, then you do need to sign up, and that is something that we can help you with. I would suggest contacting my email directly afterwards with your company information, and we can do that. I see someone there. Is there a cost for registering on the Avetta site? So yes, there is. The cost is the exact same cost that you guys were paying at Browse. So if it's somebody that is a hauling company, they're going to be paying currently $195. And if it's somebody that is a regular high-risk vendor, they're going to be paying $595. So the cost is just going to be same as it was on Browse. If you had previously paid your Browse account, it should be moved over, and the renewal date should kind of fit the timeline, I guess, that you had previously, if you will. So it's not like you're signing up, I guess, for a second service at this point. It's something that will continue previously from what you've used. And of course, if you weren't using the Browse platform or whatever, then yes, it would be something new at that start. So I'm just gonna leave the room open for probably another 5 to 10 minutes here to see if there's any other questions people have on the chat. Absolutely feel free to ask anything you'd like. And as mentioned, I will be hosting another one of these sessions later today at 3 p.m. Eastern. So of course, if you'd like to attend that, if you'd like to share that with somebody else, absolutely no problem as well.
Hey, Seth, this is Haida with VCNA. I just want to make a quick comment. Due to the time commitment, we definitely want to get everyone signed up by the end of the year. This is coming from our compliance team. It's extremely critical, and we know that, especially now with the holidays, people taking time off, it can be a challenge, but it's definitely a priority.
Mhm.
We encourage all suppliers to reach out to you and your team with any questions, as well as us, obviously.
100%. And I just to kind of piggy off that, Gomez, I know when you guys did the migration, we didn't give you guys enough support on that push as you guys as suppliers to understand the tool, bring you guys on board and help you through that. So that's very, on us. And we're hoping that although we're doing this push right before Christmas, which is tough, that really all we need is for you guys to kind of go in there and answer some of these questions. So we're hopeful that, within the next couple of weeks here with the information filled out, we'll get a more legitimate compliance rating, if you will. We'll be able to see you guys in there. And again, if you guys are non-compliant based on a factor that isn't, filled out information, following up from Gomez's point, we can still get that compliance status to green. We can make a variance in there and have you guys set up correctly where we note the issue, but you guys are still set up and good to go. We just need that information filled out correctly so we can kind of get to that next step of the variance. So if there is any issues, we kind of set you guys on the correct path moving forward. Okay, so I think as of right now, there doesn't seem to be any other questions. I will give you guys, a couple more minutes, just because again, we're in no rush here at this point. You feel free if you'd like to drop the call if you've, gotten everything you want out of it. I won't really be sharing any additional information, if you will. But again, I will be sharing this information, following up with you guys, sending all the information again to everybody who attended, as well who should have attended, and you can also join again at 3 p.m. as well via the other link. So feel free to contact me via email if you're having issues signing up, your account's not set up correctly. I'll put all this information into the project charter, if you will, and we'll make sure that we get anybody who hasn't been able to sign up or what have you into the system properly and going.
This is Seth from VCNA. I also wanted to just say, on our side, we are working, especially my role is related to fuel suppliers, but you may see some invitations that we're sending you if if you weren't currently in Browse or not part of Avetta. You may see an email coming from an Avetta-like link asking you to connect or to register with Avetta. That will be another path for you to get to the proper website and to begin the registration and the compliance documents that Seth has went through requiring on behalf of us. So you should have, if you haven't received it yet in the last say last week, you should be receiving that invitation from us in the next day or so. So please let those in your organization know that they may see that. We're filling those out with contact information that we have, at least from the fuel side, with our sales contact, or in the worst case scenario, like an accounts receivable person that we may have in file. So please let us know if you have not received that. We'll be following up every few days if we don't see the connection starting through on the Avetta platform. And then, as Jairo had mentioned, there's a big push. We know it's year end, but for the most part, we feel like there's just some questions and some documents, which I know takes some time, and we're all busy. But please, I can't stress enough the importance of getting the compliance piece started as soon as we possibly can following this call, because as Seth said, it does take a couple days to get that thumbs up on the documents to make sure that everything passed through the review process prior to January 1st. So please start as soon as you can, and by all means, if anyone within VCNA can be of help, who your direct contact is, whether it be a buyer, or a manager or what have you, we're happy to steer you in the right direction. And then thankfully, the Avetta guys are here on standby to help support as well.
Yeah, and just to kind of piggyback off of that, you know, as the account manager, you know, I guess I'm not in support, if you will, but during this initiative, I am going to be here to help as well, make sure everybody gets in. So feel free to contact me directly via that email. I have also shared my phone number, and I'm just about to share right now in the chat, which I will, as I mentioned, include follow-up, the Avetta support email, as well as 3 contact phone numbers for Utah, California, and Canada, just in case you needed to reach out them directly. So we're hopeful that, you know, with this push, with your guys' help, and obviously with the internal help from VCA, we're going to get there. It's going to take a little bit of patience, and you know, internally, I'm even telling guys at VCNA, of course, this is important, but we got to understand that, you know, now we're pushing the suppliers for the first time, and that we got to give them a little bit of leeway to get the information in and then verify it and look at everything. So we're going to get there. We really appreciate your time, and I really appreciate everybody coming onto this call. All right, so with that, I'll just ask quickly if there's any final questions.